everyone, it's your girl Jennifer Denny, aka the Black Honey Badger. Now, before I begin, I want to send a special shout out to Rhoda Lloyd, DJ, and Michael Harper. Thank you all for watching and sharing your thoughts with me about these videos. It's really appreciated and I love y'all. Now, this post was written when the news story broke about Jeremiah Harvey being accused of sexual assault against Cornerstone Caroline. After watching the GMA interview with Jeremiah and his mother, I felt this powerless rage come over me, so I did what any artist would do and I wrote. Here we go. I was watching a video by my second favorite YouTuber, The Black Authority. In it, he was talking about the Good Morning America interview that was done by Jeremiah and his mother, Samiko Harvey. The Black Authority blasted her for forcing her son to forgive Teresa Klein for falsely accusing him of sexual assault. He also blasted other women for asking of the whereabouts of Jeremiah's father. Now, while I watched TBA's video, I hadn't watched the Good Morning America video. One morning on my way to work, I watched it. Besides getting really choked up at the emotions of both him and his mother, something else hit me. The message hit me hard right between the eyes. This mother does not want Jeremiah to become another Trayvon or Tamir. The root reason she gave the interviewer is that as a woman of God, she has the responsibility to show Jeremiah the right way to live and to forgive others. She even mentioned that she spoke to Jeremiah about Emmett Till. But anyone who lives with the trauma that we live with could see that she just didn't want to bury her son. And that alone, my heart goes out to her. But as we all must do, I had to harden my heart. Even though I can see and feel her pain, and what she did to her son was in her own powerless way to try to protect him, she squelched his natural feelings by making him forgive. It was hard to watch, and the bottom line is, white folks don't care if we forgive them. How does forgiving them for anything make us somehow better than them? We have to stop thinking like that. It doesn't make us better, and in the end, are we really forgiving them, or are we just pushing our own natural feelings of anger and resentment down so we can try to move on with our lives? When we say, I forgive you, are we really saying, I'm better than you, and now I have the moral high ground? How does the moral high ground or a moral victory help you when you are looking at the end of a barrel of a gun with a pale policeman holding it? How does it help you when you have to send your child to school or to the store knowing that he may not come back and there isn't anything that you can do about it? How does the moral high ground help your child face that no matter what he does, no matter what area of this place he lives, no matter what educational or career goals he attains, he is still a black man, public enemy number one, and there isn't a damn thing that he can do about it? What she's done to her son angers me to no end. It also saddens me because there is one thing she never asked herself. She never looked at the evidence and she didn't ask, does this work? There is an overwhelming amount of evidence that screams no. Black mothers attempt to make their sons less threatening so they don't have to bury them. What she doesn't realize is that there's nothing she can do to make him less threatening. Nothing she can do to save her son from losing his life to the whims of pale people. It is inevitable, a la Smith. We are all living our lives waiting for Zimmerman. This mother just happened to push the issue at the forefront so that we all can see it. It really saddens me to no end that Trayvon Martin isn't here anymore. He was a beautiful shining light that was snuffed out too soon. The same goes for any one of us who died at the end of a gun by the hands of the police, not just now, but throughout all of history. But like the sinking of the Louisiana galvanized those in power into action, we must let the deaths of our brothers and sisters galvanize us. Those people didn't die in vain. Don't let their deaths or the possibility of your child's death be in vain. Their senseless deaths need to be the rocket fuel that puts us, all of us, into action. There are going to be casualties along the way. We have to face that fact in this war for justice. That's why it's called war. Cowardice will only bring us daily death. You can only die once, so why not make your death count? The deaths of Tamir, Philando, Mike Brown, Freddie Gray, and countless others were a wake-up call to many, including my favorite YouTuber, who once thought we were all one race, or at least that things were getting better for us, that there is no racism. Don't let the death of another black body keep you afraid and showing your belly to the pale people. They have shown us that they will stop at nothing to keep us where we are, isolated and afraid. They like it that you will forgive them at the drop of a hat. They like it that the brainwashed, bastardized religion that they gave us still keeps us in the same place, inferior to them. Don't get me wrong. I believe in God. But the God I pray to does not want me to be a supplicant to them. He doesn't want us to be weak-willed, nor does he want us to beg them for our lives or those we love. If you are afraid, I understand. Believe me, I do. In the cold, dark of night with nothing but my own thoughts to keep me company, I too feel that fear. But you can do one of two things with that. You can, one, let it overtake you so that at the end of your life, you'll have done nothing but infect those around you with it and make everyone you love into cowards. Or you can turn that fear into cold, righteous anger. You can let that anger infuse your every interaction when it comes to them. Meaning when you work with them, never forget that the ones you are around in your daily life owe you their cushy existence. When you see them out and spending money like it grows on trees, remember it was your ancestors that paved the way for them to have that life. If you see the police, remember their ancestors, the slave catchers, who would catch your ancestors and beat them nearly to death, then turn them over to the slave masters, who in turn may have used the whipping machine on them. They may have used it so much that their skin fell off their body like water. Remember what the coroner said about Freddie Gray's neck and spine? That it felt like sand? Remember the scars, both physical and emotional, that they put our ancestors and by proxy us through. Do you remember the moment you woke up and realized that you were different? The moment you realized that you were black and it didn't matter how beautiful you were, how smart and talented you were, how open and free your heart was, you were still black and they still hated you. Never, never forget that. I used to ask in my ignorance, why? Why do they hate us so much? The answer, my brothers and sisters, is that it doesn't matter why. They just do. So what do you do with that? Protect and defend your own until it is your turn to die. Turn those tears of frustration that are sitting in your heart and the ire that is in your mind and begin to do what I'm doing. Thinking. I'm thinking of how to get justice by any means necessary. This has turned me into literally an angry black woman. If that little boy didn't want to forgive that woman, that is the right way to feel. But his mom is so afraid of losing her son that she imparted that fear onto him. If she's not careful, she'll turn him into a Darion Tolles without really meaning to or wanting to. I respect the work that he's done for his community, Darion, that is, but I don't respect his forgiveness politics. As for Samiko, we really don't know her intentions, nor should we try to figure them out. What we need to do is give her a pull-up. Let her know that being fearful is fine, but use it as rocket fuel instead of letting it keep you stagnant. I know that fear can stop you, but you need to know that they're also afraid, which is why they attack us in groups as well as shoot first and ask questions later. It is their sheer fear of losing their dominance that makes them attack us. They know that the clock is winding down on their time as a dominant group. This regime, just like spoiled dairy products, has not only an end date, but it will expire. And I believe in us. We can and will war for justice, and we will win. We are already soldiers. And if you've learned any real history from watching them, we should use what they've done to win our war. If all of us rise up and use that fear to galvanize us and turn it into a cold fury, we will be unstoppable. I believe in us. Don't you? If you don't, that's fine. But let me help you out real quick. I need you to remember some things. I need you to remember that we were nothing but two-legged horses to them. Horses that at the end of slavery, the skin on our backs was worth $100 billion. Horses that built the country as you see it today and created industries worth billions of dollars. Horses that were used against each other in order to get better positions on the plantation. Horses that, if not put on regular plantations, were put on stud farms to make bigger, better versions of ourselves. It didn't even matter if the person we were with was related to us. If the first thing that pops into your mind is that we need to forget about what was, has, and is still being done to us, then I want to impart a little wisdom onto you. A very wise brother once told me something that I think he might have made a video on. Forgiveness is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. There are certain steps that need to be followed on both sides, the forgiver and the forgiven. The forgiven have to take accountability for their actions. For example, I'm sorry that I did X to you. I am truly sorry for not only the action, but how it made you feel. Here's what I will do to recompense you for what I have done. The forgiven then proceeds to lay out an action plan, processes that they will put into place to ensure that the wrong that was done to you will never happen again. When those actions are done, then the forgiver forgives, not before. Can I ask you something? In all the years since the abolition of slavery, when and where did they ask for our forgiveness? Could it have been when they enacted the 13th Amendment? Nope. The convict leasing system? Oh, you know what? I know. They did it when they dropped bombs from the sky in Tulsa. Nope. Oh, how about when they began redlining? Nope. Maybe. It was when they blew up 4 little girls in a church. No. How about when Dylan Roof shot those people in the church? No. He didn't ask for forgiveness, nor did he want it. What he wanted was to end those people's lives. And he succeeded in his mission and was even given fast food for his treachery. So you point out to me when and where they ever asked us for forgiveness, then put the processes into place in order to make sure that the steps to forgiveness can start and we can heal. So to sum up again, the person has to want forgiveness. Show me where they wanted us to forgive them. No, they want us to forget that their cushy lives have been sponsored by our pain, that we are the reason there even is a 1%, that this country and the financing of many countries was built on our backs. This is just a little message to some who don't believe we have a justice claim or a war to fight. Now I need for those who don't believe we have this claim to justice to hear what I say and take it in the spirit that it is meant. Those of you who believe we should move on with our lives, or believe that all pale people aren't bad, or are consistently putting out the message of black on black crime, or feel that we've been given enough breaks through affirmative action, rights given to us through the civil rights movement, or even believe that respectability is still the way to go, even though there is a great deal of evidence that states the contrary, go about your business. Meaning that if you don't feel we have a claim to justice and all that represents, that's okay. Hey, do me a favor though. The next time something happens to you at the hands of a pale person, for example, they call the police on you for being black and breathing. Yes, that is a crime now if you didn't know. Puts their hands on you for an illogical reason, etc. Don't cry out to the collective that it is racism. Don't post the video if you happen to capture the act to any social media. Don't attempt to gain any attention from the black collective at all. Just shrug your shoulders and chalk it up to the cost of doing business. Yes, the cost of sexual access to pale people, because that's really why you're decrying we don't have a claim to justice, is because you have your snow queen or king, or because you have financial access to them that you think puts you on an even playing field, is sometimes your dignity or your life. But hey, remember that as you are breathing your last breath on the pavement, as the slave catchers, police officers, have snuffed your life out for some reason unknown to you, that this is you paying the cost of doing business. And instead of us coming to your rescue crying out, we need justice for insert your name here, you will hear crickets as you let out your last gasp. Because when we put out the call to arms to fight for justice for all of us, that is exactly what we heard from you. You are black, not Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Hebrew, Israelite, football player, musician, etc. When I began reading this story about Jeremiah Harvey having been interviewed on GMA, the first thing I saw after reading his name was the phrase, a black boy. That phrase brought to mind a snippet of a conversation that the Black Authority had in his movie Race Wars with Richard Spencer, the founder of the alt-right. He told us himself many times and in many different ways that, quote, identity is at the foundation of everything, and that race is the foundation of identity, end quote. While I, unfortunately, don't really like to agree with Mr. Spencer on this, I agree. I'll give you another example. Let's say that the police pull you over and arrest you because of you, quote, fitting the description. Well, what is the description? The first description that they use is either black man or boy or black woman or girl. Meaning what? Well, whether you want to be seen that way or not, sweet babies, that is what you are. You are black. I will give you another example. I'm not ADOS, as we all know by now. My mother and father are black immigrants from Panama. Although I was born here in the 70s, I was told by my own family divisively that I wasn't American. Then later they told me that I wasn't, I was a black Latino. As you can see, my sense of belonging was thrown off immensely. Because according to my family, I wasn't an African American, yet I wasn't really a Panamanian either. Now, I've never been to Panama, and due to some circumstances with my mom, we really didn't have a lot of associations with Panama as I was growing up. And she created a life for herself that didn't involve Panamanian roots. Throughout my own life and into adulthood, I had feelings of not really knowing where I fit in. Hearing the word nigger with reference to me, and reading and studying the history of ADOS, and how we've been treated and then experiencing the perils of whiteism for myself, and of course realizing that if the police pull me over and take my life at the end of the day, it's not going to matter whether I'm Afro, Latino, or African American. They're not asking those questions if they pull you over. When the police pull me over, what will they see? A black woman. When I look in the mirror, what do I see? A black woman. Yes, I know my parents have Spanish first names, Guillermina and Jose. And during my 20s, I would say in a heartbeat, oh, I'm not black, I'm Panamanian. But you as ADOS know more than anyone else why I would say that. It's because I got the message earlier that being black, being anything but white or as close to white as I could possibly get, i.e. light-skinned, curly hair, light-eyed, was somehow wrong. Somehow being a dark-skinned little girl with tiny, tightly coiled black hair and dark brown eyes was somehow not beautiful. Hell, I spent most of my life trying to look like anything other than what I am. And it took the love and support of a wonderful man to give me a mirror and show me that I am what I am. A gorgeous, soulful, sassy black woman. I identify as one of you. Although I know in here and in my mind that if the justice claim was answered, I wouldn't get any reparations. That doesn't stop me from believing that I'm black and that you should get what your ancestors fought, worked, and died for. It doesn't stop me from fighting for what is right. I'm ready to fight and die for what is yours. Why aren't you? Thank you so much for listening, and to all my honey badgers, keep your claws sharp, your hearts pure, and your minds clear.